Hey everybody, I'm Bryan Bell, a videographer, creative, someone who loves all types of art, all types of creation. And I'm really happy to be here with Franny Tacy of Franny's Farmacy and Franny's Farm. We've worked together over almost 8 years now, all types of creative projects. We've traveled around the globe, we've been here and we've been there.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to have her here to go over some new highlights, some new really good things that are happening with Franny's Pharmacy, with the stores, the locations, and the projects or the products that they have coming. So, Franny, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great because we have product and projects coming, and it's so great to interact with you, from everywhere and all this time and years we've been together as you have been watching this brand grow. So thanks for taking the time and being so interested.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you've been through a pretty busy schedule lately. But it's just so cool to see how you have evolved over the last few years. And I think that, really the first question I want to ask you is, to get to the point where you've been, obviously there's something very unique about what you offer at Franny's Pharmacy. So what would you say sets Franny's Pharmacy apart from all the other hemp and cannabis brands out there?
Well, our unique our unique stance is that Franny's Pharmacy is not a product, it's a brand. And as you know, we started on the farm 13 years ago when I was in the pharmaceutical industry. So the heart of our brand was like a seed that was planted on this farm. And now, what continues to differentiate us is that we really are a brand. And what does that mean? We're involved in every step of the way, from seed to shelf, from the ingredients that we grow, from the botanicals we grow, to the ingredients we source, to boutique products and manufacturing. Um, we have retail stores, e-com, but that's normal. What makes us different is we're a community too. Because we're vertically integrated and because we have manufacturing and distribution and all these different cycles that we work in, we have a family. We have a Franny's family. And it is based around community, not only for us working there, but we have people that are working on the farm. We have marketing. We have people all over the country and even internationally that we work with. And we self refer to ourselves as part of a family. And that ain't, you can't get that. You can't make that. You can't go into some place and just make that. That is grown.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, very, very unique, very homegrown. That's so awesome. It makes a lot of sense, why you guys have been able to thrive like that. Very inclusive, community based. Literally right there from Asheville and Western North Carolina, right there. So,
Yeah.
as you've obviously, traveled around, the country, you've been to so many events and you've networked with so many people and you guys ship across the country, right? So you're aware of
Yeah.
everybody else out there and how they view cannabis and hemp in this state or in that state. What do you think like the biggest misconception is regarding hemp and cannabis?
Okay. Hands down, the biggest misconception is that everybody think cannabis is to just get you high. That's what the number one. And it's not, it's so much more than that. And especially for our brand, we started as a farm and we had botanical products. So we really grew into cannabis. I didn't even know I was the first female to plant cannabis until after we'd harvested. So, cannabis is about so much more than just getting high. It is we have an endocannabinoid system. We work together with this plant, and there's so many different ways it can heal without the high in reducing inflammation and helping with pain and anxiety. There's just, so many things, and people are really waking up to the power of cannabis and understanding that it works with the body and that there's a lot of different uses for it. So we can throw that one away. Just throw that one away. We got lots more for cannabis than just high.
Yeah, and so are you seeing that more and more people are recognizing that? Because really, next question I wanted to ask you is, how do you see the future of the hemp and cannabis industries evolving? Is it more so on more beneficial things away from just, getting high and just having just like this mood changing effect? What do you see in the next, say 10 years or so happening?
I mean, that's a great question. And the industry is really just getting started because we are very familiar with medical marijuana. And that has kind of set the tone that everybody is evolving from. And like we were saying, it's like we're starting to learn more, but there is more and more science based um, studies, evidence, anecdotal. We can see even across the country as people have legalized not only medical, recreational, hemp, that we're really learning that cannabis interacts with the body, and we will find it more and more um, as we discover even more individual cannabinoids, how it interacts in specific uses. So it's not just you consume the whole plant and you get high or whatever, that there is much more science that's coming behind this plant. Also, I think we're really going to see in this next phase, this next decade, how regenerative farming practices are tied in to this plant. Um, it's part of a bigger conversation because cannabis can do more than just heal. We're really talking about the medicinal and the product and the business side of it right now, but we're going to see this whole market really expand as we have more science and research.
Yeah. Yeah, you touched on something interesting there about all the different cannabinoids. So, what's your take on some of the like the more minor ones that are coming out? Are like they becoming more popular or people asking for some of these things? Some of the stuff I've heard about, like CBG, CBN, and
Mhm.
THCA. I know that stuff you guys have
Yeah.
in your products, but do you get a lot of interest in that type of stuff? What's happening there?
Oh, yes. These minor cannabinoids are really a big question because anytime one comes out, there's a lot of press on it, and people are like, what about this? What about that? And they're inquisitive. And so it's about time. This is really compounding on the research that we were talking about. And the hemp plant is a powerhouse. There are over 300 different cannabinoids that exist in this plant. And so, we're most familiar with THC, the high cannabinoid is what I say THC is, and CBD. Those were the first two that we got the most research on. But we're just scratching the surface here. CBG is great for inflammation and pain relief. CBN is great for deep relaxation. It's one that we curate in our chill out gummies to help with sleep. Then THC has just very exciting potential to go beyond what everybody already knows it's doing right now, which can give you a little bit of a buzz, but it's also great for the pain relief and on medicinal sides. I mean, the future of hemp and cannabis in medicine is about understanding these compounds and how they work in the body. And like I said, we're just scratching the surface, but there's more and more research. And what makes us really unique is that we're individually curating our products with these special cannabinoids to give the enhanced effects for what we're looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome. You guys can.
there's lots more coming, over 300, and we have about 10 that we've really been able to isolate to see what their individual benefits are. And that's how science works. After you get that, and this is me coming from my geeky pharmaceutical days, I spent lots of times in manufacturing, is you have to isolate the individual compound, understand what its benefits are, and then you begin to incorporate it with the rest of THC and CBD to see how that works. And generally, the entourage effects gives it more power than the individual components.
Yeah, that's amazing. In fact,
Yeah.
you're on like the cutting edge of it, seeing new things come out, getting to experiment and like really be like a trailblazer on this regard is cool. So, I'd love to ask like, what is your like a typical day look like for you? Let's talk about, you know, because I know you're at the farm, then you're at pharmacies, you're at manufacturing, you're at, a boardroom meeting, or you're traveling to a convention somewhere. Let guide me through like a typical day where you're working, and then maybe about a typical day where, maybe you're off, right? And just having some downtime. What do those look like for you?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, and you hit it on. There is no such thing as a really typical day, but there are certain things that part of my own health and wellness is not only to bring health and wellness products to people, but to be a model and example of that for myself and my team. So every day, I wake up at 4 a.m. to do a mindful meditation practice. Sometimes on good days, I'll go back to sleep. But I start every day with an intentional mindful meditation and movement to, open up the spine and twist and move and get everything flowing and set the course for the day because the rest of the day could get really wild. I am on a computer, I travel close to about 40% of the time. So there's, planes, trains, automobiles, airports, all of that. And, it's, I'm in conference calls, but the beautiful thing is when I know I'm going to be in a dedicated call, my purpose is try to take that while I'm walking on my farm. If I'm at farm, I've got a 1.3 mile loop and I'm going to walk that loop while I'm just talking and being surrounded in nature is very, very grounding, which allows me to really think beyond what we see and know, because that's where I'm always in the business world. And we have to project forward. And a real act of peace and serenity and calm is to be in the present. But when you're running a business, you got to take your lessons from the past and be forecasting. And so, a typical day, it starts really early for me. And every day is also going to end with a mindful meditation and yoga. So that's how I can legitimately say, no matter where I am, I begin and end my day. And in between, it can be a whole lot, you know, from dealing with
Yeah,
policymakers to the farmers that are growing. And the most people I deal with are my amazing, amazing support, executive leadership, and management teams. Those are the people that I'm talking to all the time. And
awesome.
no
It
typical
was,
days, which is good. Got to keep it a
yeah, it
little
was cool.
fun.
Yeah, it was cool how you said you start and end the day with yoga and meditation. That's cool because a lot of time you think about morning routines, but maybe not always the nighttime routine. So is that really the main stuff you do to relax, or is there anything else to do, to kind of unwind, relax, take a break? Do you just like hang out on the farm? Like, what's that look like for you?
Well, there's not a lot of hanging out, let me tell you, but I will also go to yoga during the middle of the day sometimes. That is my practice. It is what I love to do for fun, and it's also what balances me, and it's part of my personal growth. So I spend a lot of time doing that. But I love to, eat lunch on my porch and just stare. And right now, especially in the spring, every day is like a new beginning to see what is blooming. And so I can see the daffodils and the crocuses of bloom and the red buds have their buds. Just taking a time out to be present and look and see what's around me on the farm. And I do that multiple times a day. Maybe throughout the day it only counts to 30 minutes. But there's many breaks without the day where I just look outside and just say thank you. And then,
Awesome. Yeah.
live music gets me out. That's another one of our connections there. you drop a beat and you'll find me on the dance floor. But those are special occasions, just daily routine. It's all about
Right.
aligning our three brains for health, which is in the mind, the heart, and the gut. So
Nice.
just
And
trying.
so, what's something, we know you're a farmer, we know you're a businesswoman, we know that you love hemp and CBD. What's something that most people who've maybe come across like your brand or like your personality would probably like never know about you?
What would they never know about me? Well, my hands. I love to use my hands. I love to get my hands in the dirt. I love to, on the other question, I love to use my hands to play drums and rattles. And that's a little bit maybe following up on the other question. And I clap a lot. I'm very oriented with my hands and I love to ground. So I will find myself in a headstand or at least touching the ground every day. And then maybe something else that people don't know that catches them off guard, I find a lot, is that lived many lifetimes in the one right now. And we didn't have Google when I was growing up. So I have a lot of degrees and I've spent a lifetime of learning when it started from forestry to education and then even pharmaceuticals, which is now all makes sense to my family that it all is
Yeah.
culminating right now. And I'm doing everything that to them, they were like, she's so wild. What's she doing? Where's she living now? Where's she going? I was building my portfolio and experience so I could do what I do now. So they're still my favorite things. I still love to get in the dirt, teach, and talk about cannabis. So
Yeah,
I
nice.
don't know.
So that's cool to see the the full circle approach. Like you said, you were in the pharmaceutical industry. It makes sense, Franny's farm now, but with an F instead of the PH, and sticking
Yeah.
to earth-based products, stuff from the ground and the soil, versus the pharmacy, and like the RX and the prescription stuff. That's really cool to see. So knowing that you're big into farming, like having your hands in the dirt, how important really is local farming and sustainability to like the core of Franny's Pharmacy. Like, how does that is that like a big piece of it?
It is the core. It is the core. It is the heart. I accidentally became the first female farmer to grow hemp in North Carolina because in the pharmaceutical industry, they called me the anti-drug rep and the hippie in high heels because I didn't take pharmaceuticals. And I fully believe that there is not any ailment, anything, fully believe there is not anything that a pill can do that would be better than plants and nature and our own bodies to heal. That was the whole motivation for getting the farm. I've wanted a farm my whole life. When I was little, I wanted a farm. And learning how to truly be sustainable, we throw this word out there, but there's not many things that are truly sustainable. And so now it's been 13 years since we've been on the farm. We're really just reaching some of these sustainability models where we're growing more of our botanicals that go into the product lines. This land is what feeds, not just my soul. I was been talking to you about how this is what I love to do. So that's great. A lot of people love to do things that are not good for them, right? I love some of those things too. Um, but this farm and sustainability and regeneration is what's going to save this planet. And I have spent my whole life learning about it. That is my essence that I will still have when I may be old, senile, and not doing anything is the return and the relationship with the land and sustainability. It grows the food that nourishes our body and our minds. We can't do anything without it. And we're in a very critical time in our world and in our country and in our lives where healthy people cannot be healthy anymore because the air, the water, we have poisoned ourselves. And I'm full heartedly and passionately committed to the land and healing ourselves. And that ties into everything we do in our brand, our products, our community, and our farm. That's where our real values came from to set forth our mission that inspire the products that we make. So thank you for
Yeah,
asking that question.
yeah, that was beautiful because one of the other things I had in mind was like we know that Franny's Pharmacy is more than just products, more than just CBD products or mushroom based, hemp based products, healthy supplemental products. So, and you kind of alluded to it there because obviously it sounds like this is the core of why this even came to be, because it seems very clear that, let's just say we lived in a world without money, it just feels like you'd still be doing the same stuff, right? Cultivating things from the earth and sharing them
Mhm.
with people. So how do you see, the past, present, and future of how, you have and currently and will be making, a really big impact on people beyond just selling the products?
I mean, I love that. And you're right. I was making tinctures 30 years ago and products 20 years ago. And I'll continue to do that. But Franny's Pharmacy, it's really, and Franny's Farm, it's a brand. So it's about changing lives, whether it be from the products, most obvious, the people that are consuming our products, and it is helping them live a better and healthier life and feel better. I mean, that's great. That's how we reach people that get to tap into all the other things that we stand for, which is changing lives, from empowering farmers to supporting small businesses. I have 5 micro businesses on the farm that are sharecropping here, which is beautiful, to educating customers. Huge advocate to really helping women learn about their bodies, the cycles of womanhood, and how cannabis relates to that. I mean, that's what we've been doing. So we just want people to love us and get on board to support, live, and breathe this so we can all have more community and more impact. That's where it
Beautiful.
goes.
Yeah, I love that. And so, speaking about what you're doing to like expand and to grow and network, are you currently working on any, like essentially like partnerships or any initiatives too? Whether it's passion based or whether it's just expanding the line of Frannies across the world. Anything new you guys are working on
Mhm.
like that?
Yeah, right now is what's really kind of ringing home to me is like I'm deeply involved in a project for advocacy and education, in particular to women and their bodies. And so there's so beautiful how that aligns. Like I'm working with Barbara O'Neill and getting to speak at her Sustain Me conference. And she's, in my mind, I mean, guru of all naturopaths and herbalists that has been living this for decades with multiple books. So to get to align with people that have that type of influence and understand also that I'm really the one that can speak to the endocannabinoid system, that's one of the most beautiful, beautiful partnerships that is really like touching my heart right now. Um, Policy is these policy initiatives. I really, politics is a pain. It's a royal pain in my ass, okay? But it is part of what I have to do, and it is part of the advocacy. And I've been, advocating for hemp ever since the beginning. Um, and another part of the real passion is in advocacy and partnerships is working with the sharecroppers that are now growing on our land. I see a lifetime of wisdom I've gained from working on the land, to be able to share that. We have a lot more educational workshops. We have 7 chakra gardens that go in a Fibonacci sequence from the root at our love barn in a circle to the top on the ridge where our crown chakra is. This has been a 3-year project with herbalists to grow the botanicals, create the different chakra gardens, and now this year we are finally 3 years later going to be launching the tours. So, I mean, always involved in partnerships. This is the age of Aquarius. If anybody thinks they're doing anything alone to be successful, think again. This is the time for community, and the way we grow is by leaning on our fellow brothers and sisters. So I'm giving lots of people good stuff to lean on to, and I'm finally leaning on others. Step up. Step up. The world needs us all.
Yeah, that's super true. So I got a final question for you. What would you
Mm-hmm.
say to somebody who maybe has heard about cannabis, hemp, CBD, maybe hasn't tried it, right? Maybe they've seen the stores, maybe they've seen advertisements somewhere. And let's say that this person, this like avatar, if you would, might have a couple, chronic things going on. They might be on a couple prescriptions. They might be a little weary, but somewhat open minded, at least to
Mm-hmm.
just say, what's going on here? What do you usually tell someone like that? And we know that there's a variety of, we've got topicals, we've got ingestibles, we got smokables. There's like all kinds of stuff. And then there's so many different, of course, people are showing different symptoms, different issues. And I know, so we got to speak a little generally here, but what do you tell to that type of person, whether you meet them somewhere, or it's the first time they walk into a dispensary?
I mean, great question, because what you've really done is paint a patient or customer profile of half the people in the country right now. They've got a little bit of information, but still like the hook, just to make people, it's too much. There's too much. I could talk about this all day, every day until somebody tunes me out. But 500,000 plants out there, 500,000. There is one and only one, which is cannabis, that has receptors in our body that are called cannabinoids. And so, ding, 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 we were made for these to go together. And our body has an endocannabinoid system. So we call it ECS just to be fast because people don't like to say endocannabinoid. But if our bodies have an endocannabinoid system, it's the it's a clue, like maybe there is something to this. And it's the body's master regulator that keeps everything in balance, from mood to sleep to pain and inflammation. Our bodies naturally produce endocannabinoids, but stress, poor diet, the environment, which we were talking about, all these toxins throw the system off. And we all know about that. And that's where cannabis really comes in to restore the harmony and homeostasis. You hit on it, so many different ways to consume it, so many different things that it affects, that's all we really need to say, is that it works with our body. We were naturally built to go together, like peanut butter and jelly. It is just perfect. And from there, it's got to get personal with people. What is the issue? Because it works everywhere. Let's not fly from 50,000 feet. Let's get into the questions. What hurts? What doesn't feel good? Where do you think you can see growth? It's good. People can understand if their ECS system is off by things that I think almost everybody is feeling. They have pain, they can't sleep, they feel stress, even digestive issues, hormonal pain, cramps, and issues. These are all signs that your ECS could be off and that cannabis might be something that's good for you. It might be something that is going to work with you. And that's where I like to go. 50,000 straight down into the you and me. That's really why, we have retail stores and bud tenders that are so well trained so that people can go in and have those type of conversations because, e-com, that's our thriving bread and butter. Anybody can get it anywhere, but you're still missing some of that deep connection from the big picture into how is it going to help me. But we all have an endocannabinoid system. Let's find out how cannabis can help.
Yeah, so it's finding out, okay, what delivery method might be best for that specific person, and then what amounts, whether it's a tincture or a gummy or flower, or maybe
Yeah.
there's joint pain or muscle pain, and then the salve comes in, something like that.
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah,
And God
that's so
bless the
cool.
salve because that is still, it's a topical, never going to get you high, but that is still our top three selling products from the very beginning of time. And it was curated for my donkey Abigail that we rescued. She came to me, scabs everywhere, was about to die. And I created that for my donkey. And and has fine tuned it. And it's one of the products we launched with 8 years ago. And you're right. There's different delivery methods, different systems. Some people love to smoke because just like that, it is going to take the edge off if you have the right cannabis because it crosses blood-brain barrier, just instant relief. Then there's other things like tincture, my favorite, may take 15 minutes, but it goes right into the bloodstream. And then, everybody loves edibles, chocolates and gummies, but they could take an hour to effect. And then the way they metabolize is they only are about 30% bioavailable, but it's a compounded effect that can actually make you feel like it was more powerful. So these are really good, and drinks are great. Some people, they're never going to touch anything to smoke for anything. So you're exactly right. There's so many, all the little details of how to do it and what to do and what products. But the overarching theme is for everybody to know one plant and the human have endocannabinoids and receptors, and we belong together. So let's hold hands and play, figure it
Yeah,
out. We're here for all of it.
and be like peanut butter and jelly. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Yep.
so I got one final question. And so if someone's looking to ask, for more information on CBD or hemp or any of the products you guys have, we know you have some physical retail locations. So I guess first part of the question is where could someone come in physically and see you guys? And second, let's just say they're somewhere far away, there's no retail places available. What would be the best way to get in touch? So you kind of ask questions and figure out what products would be best for them.
Yes. Well, customer service is our overarching theme for everything in our company. We always talk about that. That is it. So we have 5 retail stores, Asheville, historic Haywood, Hendersonville, Hickory, and Raleigh in North Carolina. Um, those are great places to pop in. If you want a personal connection to talk to somebody and ask for a product that could be preferred, you can actually call our customer service line and somebody will be there to answer you. We have information on our website, which is Franny's Farmacy, FARMACY.com, and chat boxes that can help you figure it out. And then, there's Franny's Farm. We're doing some amazing, we've got a yoga cannabis wellness retreat here where the whole day is spent 6 hours talking and experimenting, really delving into this. We do private events for people. 2 of our locations have event rooms. So there's a lot of way. And then on social media, you're really going to find there's Franny Tacy, me. You can follow me. I'm just talking mostly about plants and botanicals and women. But the farm, you can find information in the pharmacy. You're always going to find social media is a great way to follow us and engage and ask questions too. Yeah. So thanks for asking. We're really centered in North Carolina with a bunch of retail stores, and then you can get us a lot of different ways. We are here to do nothing more but serve.
And so do you all ship like across the United States? Is it every state or some states excluded, or is it available to everybody?
We ship all across the country. There are a few states that have made things illegal. So we're not shipping to Idaho. But in particular, interstate commerce has limited some of the retail stores from being multi state at this point. So shipping is super important. We ship everywhere. Order, we're going to ship it to you. Flour's huge. We can ship flour across the country, and there's a lot of people that can't get it in their states.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Franny. I appreciate your time for sharing more about, your background, your story, and also where Franny's Pharmacy is going. So we know we can follow you on YouTube, on Facebook. You let us know about your own personal Instagram, and you also have one set up for the farm as well. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we head out?
We're with you. I like long term relationships. Join the family. We're here for you. And let's do it. Let's change things. This is the time. Let's change our personal health and the health of the world and our communities.
I love it. Perfect way to end this. So I'll definitely see you again on the next one, Franny. But great talking to you as always. And I'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you.